In this video, I'm going to talk about how I bought a piece of land with my partner, all excited to build, getting the planning done, and then the worst of all happened. COVID-19 hit, the virus that shook the world, and everything stopped. Worldwide, really, not even just for us. And the takeaway from this will be one sort of how it's kind of happened, what the steps are, and also a bit of the dilemmas that are happening, I think, in the US, and a bit of drama with this in particular. But let's start with a couple weeks before, or a couple months before COVID. We were looking for a piece of land. Really hard to get one over 400 meters squared anywhere in the city. So when looking for land, there's normally 5 kilometer or so rings that kind of separate the price ranges from land and stuff like that. Maybe you're interested in buying a piece of land, so there's that. And also be follow-up videos, 2 I believe, on things I've learned with building a house, or something like don't build a house until you go over these, because it's a very big learning experience. There's so much to a house. I mean, just look at the size of them and the work and the hours that goes into them. So it's a pretty big deal. So starting off with how it all come about. Found a piece of land, had the deposit ready, but the guy wanted the high end of the scale for what the land was. I mean, I think it was a good price, but he wanted to try and max out exactly the price. So we put in an offer, he declined it, and we thought, you know what, we'll just wait for 2 weeks. A week went by, we kept looking. There's nothing on the market over 400 meters squared and under $400,000 here in Adelaide, Australia, and prices range hugely from where you are. If you're in Sydney or New York, you're looking at millions, but you know, Adelaide, 400 meters squared, cannot get under 400,000. And one come up for a little under 350, and we were like, watching that. So we had the deposit and didn't take our offer. And we're like, you know what? It's been up for a little bit, so it's not hot property. And it hasn't snagged, I think, because maybe COVID, maybe the time of year, whatever it may have been, because COVID just started in China, I believe. And anyway, put our offer in, said no. Secondary offer also said no. But then the realtor, or the agent that was working with this guy, said he was very stubborn, a bit of an older man, and that just give him a week, he's a bit unsure. We wait a week, and then the agent was actually kind enough to hit us up again and say, look, offer him just a tiny bit more and I think he'll get it. So I wanted to just say, okay, offer him another quarter of a price increase, $2,500, and my partner's like, no, 2. Say that 500. So I'm like, whatever, you probably won't even accept it. Did it and accepted it. So sometimes when it comes down to land, an extra $2,000 is the deal. That's all they want to max out so much, especially if they're maybe the older generation, really want, like, they don't have a necessity to get rid of it. They're trying to max out their price. A bit of bargaining goes a long way, keeping in mind that it's a human and not a robot you're trying to manipulate and get down as low as you can. So we secured the land, and then goes to the plan of building, and it's a month of trying to plan in the design. And the design is huge, so I will be sure to go over everything in that video of what I've learned in the planning of building of a house. But it was all about to come to good, and then Australia goes on lockdown. Now, there's one semi-mistake we've made here, and that leads us into the virus. And that leads us into the freezing of the mortgages idea. So we'd already started paying off the loan of the land, and our consideration here was when you start building a house, the price of the repayments actually lowers as it's now a build site, and the rate increases as you get loaned more and more at different stages of the build as it gets ticked off. So we're like, well, we haven't started building yet. We're not really sure what's about to happen. Why don't we freeze the mortgage? And all that does is add on the interest and the length of the loan on the end term, which isn't the best thing straight up. Like, you want to try and get it paid off semi-quickly. I always recommend at 20 years. Get a 30-year loan and then try and up the repayments. Because if you do the math, right? Do the math on if you were to pay $400 a week, $200 each back on your mortgage, And then instead, if you put in $100 each more per week, so $300 each, making it $600, you do the math depending on the mortgage equation or what the loan amount is and things like that, you will save 12 years and $100,000 in less interest. Now, when you do the numbers like that, it is incredible. It blows everyone's mind, but all it takes is 10 minutes of your time to have a think and be aware of your financial kind of things that are going on, and especially with a mortgage, it's not one that you want to overlook. So if you put in $100 each extra between you and your partner, then you can literally save $100,000 over the term of your life and your build here and your mortgage. So that is huge. Please do implement that into your strategy if you're not already doing it with a house. I mean, if you have to do an extra 2 hours of overtime at work, and you're not too super stressed out about it, then, and it can help you do something like this, I think the trade-off is well and truly worth it. So getting back to the story, we've got the house plan kind of finalized. We thought, we'll just freeze our loan because we haven't started construction yet. We don't know if we're going to, because we don't know how bad this is going to get. So we freeze it, but the bank here actually continues to hit you with interest, which is huge. And just verbally, I didn't do the phone call, which is probably, if you want something done right, always do it yourself. Then you'll never get mad at someone else or get frustrated with people. But not that I am frustrated at anyone, but we were informed over the phone that probably wouldn't, because it's kind of like a family. It's not purely just our loan provider that we've worked with for the bank. We knew them, which is why we went to them. So it's a bit more of a family friend type ordeal. But mentioned that there would be no fees or anything until it was restarted, and they check back in with you in 6 months to see how your financial hardship is doing, or whatever it may be, whatever they call it, and then they will see if you can resume or add another 6 month wait onto it. In America, in the States, there is 2 types of freezes that they do, I believe. It's not a problem here in Australia, but please, I'll put the name of it here and a bit of information in the description below of what the name of this type of loan evasion is. So they don't actually pause anything. Your payments stop, but then they want a lump sum at a certain date in the future, which makes no sense. As pure manipulation, because if you can't pay the loan now, how are you going to have $10,000 when it's due in 9 months or a year's time? So please be very, very aware of what you're asking for if you do really need this mortgage freeze. But there's always, the banks always win. Whoever you got your mortgage from, the loans always win. Loan providers always win because they get more money back. And in times like this, even when things are a bit shaky, they have, all these clientele that are in trouble wanting pauses. Sure, it hurts their business, but they're gonna get their money back at the end of the day, unless you do some dodgy liquidation and whatever it may be. That's very rare. So watch out for little things. Always be aware of your bank statements and interest and see what's going on with your mortgage. And if you don't have access to that, like it's not online and you're not aware of all the technology, then please do your due diligence of sorting it out. Because like I said, it's 10 minutes of doing some math to work out, or even if you don't know how to do the math, Google it. There's websites to work out how to save yourself maybe $100,000 in interest, or keep an eye and be more technology savvy on what's going on with your mortgage, because things like that, getting hit with interest still, can fly under the radar. Because when you're playing with a couple $100,000, a $200 fee here and here doesn't really bat an eye, but it can really add up in the long term. So now getting to the current stage of the build, we have gone to a couple different providers, so 2 different builders now, because we were kind of happy with the first one. But don't get to an emotional level with that person, like, oh, they've been looking after us, we'll just sign with them. It's business at the end of the day. So went out of my way to get a secondary quotation and design. Now this particular builder is seen a little bit more as high end here in Adelaide, or of Australia. It's a pretty big builder in the country. So I knew that they had really good finishes and their whole corporation was well run. but I didn't know that it was a bit more high end. So you have to crunch the numbers specifically, but it might come in as a little bit more for the same value. But one thing that I did take away from even doing this, and this is why it's completely worth your time. One, you can save some money, you have more competition, you can barter with the other one. So you can be like, look, they're gonna give us this deal. Can you match it? And then they're kind of in a position where they have to, both on they want to help you, but also they need to make sure they get that sale. So did this, but the one thing I gained from it, even though it's probably not going to be the one we go with, I'm not really sure, I have to really crunch numbers a couple times over, but it's the fact that the design, they had so much more detail with it. This bigger company, which you'd think that because they do so much volume and all this, that they would just kind of throw them out and not care. But because they're a little bit more that high end feel to it, the detail. So even in the floor plan, there's a display niche at the end of the hallway. Like small things like that, very minor. A walk-in linen, you end up fitting somewhere, and things that I can take and now try and add into the other plan and come up with the most perfect floor plan that you can, even though it's not a forever home or whatever. But you do want to still, you only get to build it once, so don't rush the process. Really think about it. There's so much emotions with this. You just want to sign the paper and get it built because you know it's 12-month wait and you want to move into your lovely brand new home. But it's worth the time to do your 10 minutes of mortgage study, to do your getting a different quotation, looking at which one offers, learning more from different floor plans about what you can do. And that leads us to what we're doing now, and we're about a week off building. We just need to sign the contract, and I'll just double check some quotes and things like that. Just the real fine details. Which one gives the best appliances? Which one has the best brick? How much is the brick upgrade going to cost? Like selection, things like that to keep into the idea, because things can add up. You know, there's always extra expenses when it comes to building a house and upgrades that you want to do. So thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to like the video if you gained any valuable information at all throughout the video, because it really shows me that I'm doing something good, and also lets YouTube know that you found the video helpful, and it will do good things for the channel moving forwards. And also on talks of the channel, any video that I've ever uploaded, I have more than one channel, still 99% of people that have ever watched one of my videos are not subscribed. Kind of took that analytics to heart. I've been watching it really closely because that's a lot of people, and maybe I need to work out how to give more value or something like that. But if you think you'd find any bit of information helpful in any video going forwards, then please consider clicking that subscribe button, putting the bell on, and then maybe one day next week or down the road, a video will come up that you'll click on in the future. So thanks for watching, guys. I will see you next time.